morning, everybody. I think we'll start now, and whoever is late will just join in when they can. My name is Twani, and I'll be training you guys or showing you guys the car hire module because we've decided to just do an overview on all the quick travel applications. I have muted your speakers. If you have any questions, please, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and interrupt me at any point and ask a question. It is just to minimize the background noise so that everyone is able to hear us loud and clear. Okay. There's one thing I'm not sure who still has the old car hire module. So I'm going to need whoever is looking at this car hire module and it's different from what they work with in the office to just let me know. They can either pop me an email at sales@quicksoftware.co.za so that we upgrade your car hire module, because you might be running on the old car hire module, which we have upgraded. So if you are running on the old car hire module, please pop us an email so that we can arrange an upgrade for you. We are able to do it at a reduced rate, but if you are on the latest car hire module, then you're good to go. Okay, right. I'm just going to go through the setup first before we start with the issuing and go through loading your car hire ranges, how to clean up your car hire ranges, and then we'll move to issuing a new car hire voucher. I don't know if all of you are required, but most accounts people are required to either load a car hire range for the consultant and also disable all the vouchers that are finished so that when a consultant has to issue a new car hire voucher, they only see the existing or the last car hire, not see anything that is has finished, because then they waste time going through the entire list, which is what we are hoping that you guys will be able to see today and implement as you go back to work. The other very important thing, managing your database. I think at times we find that, especially with new installations, or you guys have been working with a supplier for a long time, they do defleet cars, they do change offices. That is also your responsibility as an agency to make sure that you try and update the information and where to go to update the information. Okay, I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear. If you can just send through the chat if there's any problem with the sound, I'll appreciate that. Thanks, Rona. Okay. Thanks, Rina. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Right. So I will go with the assumption that everybody can hear us loud. I cannot hear. Okay, Mariel, I have muted your microphone, but do you mind just maybe just increasing your volume so you can hear us? Sorry. Can everyone else hear me? Okay, Tandarai, I can share my, we're sharing the screen. Can you hear? Okay, Irene can hear. Okay, it looks like everybody can hear us. We're not sharing the video, we're just sharing the quick traf screen. But I'm happy to share my screen without any makeup on, so that's okay. Okay. The only person that seems to have a problem with us, with hearing us, is Mariel. Mariel, is there somebody that can help you from a sound perspective, because everybody else can hear me? So you see, it seems like you're the only one who can't hear us. Okay. Please try. Okay, I'm going to continue, and we'll give Marielle some time to join us a little bit later. Okay, from a setup perspective, if you do need to edit any of your suppliers, add your voucher ranges, or do any changes from a system perspective, because you often find that when a consultant has issued a voucher, okay, thanks, Marielle. If a consultant has issued a voucher and there's changes that have to be made, you find that there's certain fields which cannot be edited, and this is exactly how you guys will go and reopen up those fields so that you are able to edit a voucher that's already been closed. Okay, so firstly I'm going to go through my preference. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this. You often find consultants have to put in their consultant code as they are capturing a new voucher. That can be done under my processing. Okay, and some might say to you, my email address is not preloaded. If you do find that or you're under that circumstance, please, as you go into my processing in my setup, double click on my email and you can populate your email address in the email address field. So that's going to allow you to just issue without even putting in your email address each and every time you have to do anything. Okay, my processing, if a consultant always moans that I have to put in my consultant code or whatever the case may be, ask them to double click on setup my processing, and they can select their consultant code, which will then default that each and every time they go in and issue a new voucher, their consultant code will pull through. Okay, and that is only from an issuing point or from a setup point. And I'm now going to go through making any changes on your suppliers. Okay, if you click on setup and you select your suppliers, you will see a long list of all the suppliers that have been preloaded for you. Or if a new car rental company does join and there isn't any information, you are able to create a new one by clicking on the new button. But to edit an existing one, I'll go into Avis, for example. You can double click on Avis. If you can see right at the bottom, you've got your general tab, you've got your cars. So if they do decide to defleet or introduce a new car, this is where you'll come and deactivate the one that they've defleeted and add the new one that they've added. The offices, this is exactly where you'll come and make changes to their offices. Rates, obviously this is negotiated rates. So usually we don't put any, if there is a rate code that's applicable, this is exactly where you'll edit. If there's none, you don't have to put in any rate codes or rates that are applicable. Any voucher ranges that you would have loaded under the supplier, this is where you'll come and double check whether they've been loaded correctly or if everything is in order. But all the vouchers that have been, voucher ranges that have been loaded against the supplier will be found under the range tab. And all the vouchers that have also been issued under the supplier will be under the vouchers tab. So you've got many ways to skin this cat or maneuver. You've got your voucher register to look for a specific voucher number, or you can come under the specific supplier and find the actual voucher. Okay, so once you're happy with any changes that you would have made, you have to click on the save key so that it can apply those changes. Okay, so depending on the supplier that needs to be amended or any changes that have to be done, you will select the respective supplier and make those necessary changes. Any questions? Looks like we're all good. Right, I'll go ahead. So there are certain people that work with multiple divisions. So you might have, I'm not allowed to call out any clients' names, but if you guys do have branches or other people that are working remotely, that we usually treat as divisions within your quick trap, because essentially you are one legal entity. And although you are one legal entity and some people are based off-site, they are required to work on a specific voucher. You can work on one specific voucher range. So divisions are literally where you guys will go and set up the other offices within your organization, which we will obviously help you with, but it is literally just for additional divisions that have to be set up within your Quick Trav applications. You'd hardly ever have to work in this, okay? I'm going to go through to your voucher ranges. So if you click on Setup again, you find your voucher ranges. And especially for accounts people, this is where you guys will be required to do any cleanups. This is the best place to come and do your cleanups, because you would know that probably the voucher that's sitting right on top, it's probably finished by then. If you are at a big organization and you have a lot of vouchers that you're working from, it is the best time that you guys clean up your vouchers so that you go back into the vouchers that are finished by double clicking on that voucher, untick enabled, and make sure that finished is ticked. I'm just going to do this with this one just to show you guys. It's going to be highlighted in red. It's going to be highlighted in red. And that is an indication that the voucher range can no longer be used. The historic information will remain there, but it helps the consultants because as they're issuing, they only see active voucher ranges in their register. They never see voucher ranges that are finished. So they never have to figure out which voucher range they have to use. So if you are able to clean up your finished voucher ranges, I definitely recommend that you guys do it, because from an issuing point, it's easier for them to know which voucher range to work from. Okay. If you've got any questions, please, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and interrupt me at any point. Okay. I'm going to show you guys how to load a new voucher range as well. If you click on the new button at the bottom, or you can use the new button at the bottom, or not besides using the shortcut key, you've got your new range screen. It will first ask you what type of a voucher you need to load. Are you loading a billback range? Are you loading a corporate range? And a corporate range, that would be one that belongs to a specific corporate. Are you loading a referral range? Okay, very important, the voucher type, because the person that has to issue, they need to select what type of a voucher they are actually working with. Okay, so if I were to do a billback voucher, and indicate what the range key is. Okay, range key, that is something that you guys can just use internally. You can literally just say, if I'm loading an Avis voucher range, I can say it, I can put a range key as AVI 011 if it's the first voucher range that we use. And you can literally just populate or carry on with the sequence, or you can just create your own range key, because this is just an internal identifier number. It doesn't do any harm, or it doesn't affect what happens internally, but a person, or if you've just loaded a new voucher range, you are able to communicate to the team that this is the range key that we've used, so that they are able to identify the new voucher range. Okay, I'll just do BD 200. Okay, next field will be to populate what the supplier or who the supplier is. Next is the client field. This is very important. And as you might be aware, QuickTrav, in all the QuickTrav applications, any field that's highlighted in a slightly bluish or greenish color is a mandatory field. Anything with the white field is an optional field. This client field is very important, and it should only be used if you're loading a corporate range that is linked, a range that is linked to a specific corporate. Okay, so if you do put in client details in the client field, please note that only that specific corporate will be able to, any vouchers that will be issued have to be linked to that specific corporate. But if you're doing a billback range that's going to be used across the board for all, for everybody in the agency, you can leave the client field blank. The moment you click on your tab key, you'll see that general range will be ticked. General range is an indication that this voucher range will be used across the board for all your clients. It's not limited to any specific corporate. So very important, please. The moment you put a client field, it will be limited to one specific client. If not, then it will be used across the board. Okay, I'm not going to populate much information. I'll just explain it as I go along. Description, you can give it a proper description to say if it's an Avis billback range, or if it belongs to a specific corporate, you can put in a description that's suitable for that specific corporate. Maybe Avis whatever the corporate client is, and so forth. Now the number range, because we ask you guys to request electronic ranges from the car rental company, the range that they've given you, this is exactly how you where you'll capture it. So it will be the first sequence and whatever is the last sequence. So they'll give you a range, a starting range and the end range, which will then tell you how many vouchers they've actually given you. So the moment you populate the number range, it will tell you how many vouchers you have. Okay. Subtitle, that's an optional field if you guys want to print a subtitle on your vouchers. The account number, that is the account number with the car rental company. So in most of the time with Avis, you find that it's AV, then the account number follows. If it's budget, I don't know if it's got BID or BUD in front, but that's the account number that you guys will put in. The next field is very important. When you're loading your new voucher range, you need to specify which division within your organization needs to have access to the voucher range. Okay, so division with excess, if you guys have multiple divisions within your Quick Rev applications, you need to indicate whether that specific division needs access or if it's only the head office, which is then health and general that will need access. Okay, yours might not be health and general. It will be based on what we have done from a setup perspective. So yours might be different from health and gen because people name it according to the way that they find it suitable. So yours might be different from health and gen, but you just need to make sure that the correct division has access to that voucher range. Okay, so default value, rate code, currency, those are just additional information that you are able to add. And remember that the car hire module actually reads from invoicing. So switches such as your order number, your additional references, those are going to be activated from the invoicing module. So you don't have to force fields such as your booking reference number. But if it is something in your organization that you want the consultant to populate that information, you are able to put it here. Okay. So our booking reference number, that is just an internal number or an internal reference that you guys could actually use. Order numbers, credit cards, those are things that will be activated from the invoicing module. Okay. This no credit card, including these ones, client pays modifier, these are literally just additional information that you guys are able to add. But remember, with most agreements, the agreement is already in place with the car rental companies. So waivers or the insurance, you guys have already signed that contract. So this is just from an issuing point and the information that you guys would like to add on the voucher, but it's not going to impact the agreement that you guys have already signed with the car rental company. Okay. Other options, no credit card warning. You might find that as you are issuing a voucher, there's a message right there on top of the voucher that says, that please, the client needs to present their credit card upon collection of the vehicle. If you do find that message does pop up, just come back into the voucher range and make sure that this is ticked so that it doesn't prompt the client to produce a credit card when they pick up the vehicle. The free format offices, this allows the consultants to put in the address. They still have the option of using the drop down for the locations, because although they are arranging a delivery or a collection, they're able to type in the physical address, but they still need to notify the office that needs to either deliver the vehicle or to collect the vehicle. So free format just allows them to type in the address instead of selecting from the drop down. If you don't tick the free format offices, they will be prompted or they'll be forced to select from the drop down, select the offices from the drop down and put in the delivery details in the remarks field. Okay. As I mentioned earlier on, this is still an active voucher because we're loading it. It's the fresh voucher range. So we'll make sure that we have to make sure that the enabled tick is actually activated. Very important, we've added a feature where it allows you to get a notification. So you guys will have to nominate somebody internally that can be that can be a custodian, so that whenever you're running low on your vouchers, it sends that person an email to request more vouchers. So you can actually stipulate or indicate the number that the system needs to warn you with the number of vouchers that will be remaining, and whoever is selected as a custodian, that email address can be added in the custodian email field. So you can have more than one person added as a custodian by adding a comma. So if you want more email addresses, you can separate them by using a comma. Okay, and these are your standard terms and conditions. If you do wish to edit the standard terms and conditions, you're more than welcome to. Okay, once you've populated all the information, you can click on save so that it registers the new voucher range, which I'm just going to exit because I don't have to create a new voucher range. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, I'll assume there's no questions so far. Okay, right. So we are done with actually loading our voucher ranges. Okay, I'm now going to go through to the system setup, which allows you to first do your voucher layouts. But as I mentioned earlier on, you might find that your consultants come to you and advise that we've got a problem, we cannot edit a certain field once the voucher has been saved, and this is exactly where you guys will come and edit this. I doubt if you're a consultant, you might not be able to go through these switches or the setup, and it's only people with a high level authority which will be allowed to make any changes. But I know that there's ITCs here that are responsible for making their own changes, so I have to actually just go through everything. Okay, so this is literally just from a setup perspective to make those changes on a voucher that's already been saved as a hold. Okay. Please double click voucher capture settings. Okay, right at the bottom, you've got hold voucher fields that can be edited. Okay, so you'll see that as you guys are issuing, there's a lot of things that have been activated or deactivated. This is exactly where you guys will actually come through and make all those necessary changes. So if you double click on it, it will exactly tell you which fields can be edited or cannot be edited. As soon as it's got a little red dot, it means that it's been deactivated. To activate it, double click on it to activate it, but to deactivate it, double click on it so that it changes into red. Okay, click on OK to save any changes that you have done. Save again and click on save at the bottom. Okay. Before I go through to your to issue a new voucher, you'll see that with the new car hire, you've got 2 dates at the bottom. I don't think you guys will be able to see this with the screen, with the Zoom screen, but your car hire voucher has 2 dates. You've got your date for the car hire module, and you've also got another date, which is more on the far right-hand side, and that is the date for your invoicing module. So if you ever see the dates do not actually correspond and you're wondering why, note that the one on the far right is for the invoicing module, and the other one is actually for your car hire module. That's another different thing with this new car hire module. Okay. Now to issue your new vouchers, you'll click on File, New Voucher, or your shortcut key, which is the new car hire range. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier on, when you're loading a new voucher range or the consultants have to issue, then do need to stipulate whether the voucher is a build-back range or if it is a corporate range. To issue a new voucher, they'll select who the supplier is that they'll be working from, the voucher type that they'll be working with, whether it's a build-back, it is an agency custom voucher, a corporate, or a referral voucher. Very important, if they're issuing a build-back range, we often find this being raised quite a lot. If they're issuing a build-back range, please ask them to skip this field and make sure that they don't put any client details in the client field. They need to click on the agreements. It will pull through whatever agreements are currently available as a build-back range under the Avis, under Avis as a supplier. Okay. In order to issue the voucher or to populate the rest of the information, which is quite self-explanatory, they need to first reserve the voucher. The reason why we ask them to reserve the voucher is that no two people will ever work in the same voucher. So the voucher number that's generated, we have put the cursor right there on top. The next person who reserves the voucher, the system then generates the next voucher number. So you'll never ever find duplications when people are issuing at the same time from the same voucher range. So very important, in order for them to carry on with the rest of the information that's required when they're issuing the voucher, they first need to reserve the voucher. So the rest of the information is quite self-explanatory. They need to populate who the consultant is. If you do work with processes, they'll have to populate the processes details, the reservation number from the car rental company, the car group that's been booked, an order number if that's been activated against the client. And if you can see, now they can actually put in the client code. So instead of putting it there, we allow them to put in the client code field right here at the bottom. However, if they're issuing a corporate range, please make sure that they put in the client's details in this client field right at the top, because this will then be grayed out to say that the client information has already been populated. You cannot make any changes in this client code field at the bottom. Okay, so if there's any additional references or anything against the client that's been activated, then they'll be able to pick it up. The system will be able to pick it up because it reads from the invoicing module. Then they can populate the rest of the information, pick up and drop off, whether it's domestic or international, and any additional things that have to be booked can be added in the remarks field, such as your baby seat, your car, GPAs, or additional driver surcharge, whatever the case may be. Whatever information they want to print on the voucher, they can put it as a remark. Okay, before they save, if there's anything that has to be made to the attention of the person that's going to be invoicing, or you need to be reminded of something at invoicing stage, they can save it as an invoice message. So when you retrieve this document, which we'll be doing, it's a session that will be held next week. When you start retrieving your documents to invoice it, you'll see how that message field will come through when you're doing your invoices. Okay, once they're happy with the information, they've got an option of saving as a draft, which we don't recommend because a draft is not a final document. But as they save it as hold, that is a final document. So we always say, please save it as a hold, because you know that you're done with the document. If any changes have to be made, they can come back and edit the anything that has to be changed, whether it's a drop-off or pickup that has to be edited. But they can save it as a hold, and that is a final document. Okay. If you go onto your voucher register, you'll see now we've also added the copy and the paste function, because at times you're working from the same range and you're doing multiple vouchers for 5 or 10 people from the same company. If it's a corporate range or you're working from the same range, you can use the copy and the paste function, which will then grab the same range that you're working with, because you will highlight the voucher that you want to copy and paste. And all you need to do then, it will reserve the voucher for you. It will then ask you to fill in the rest of the information. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Okay, Judy, is it when you're issuing the voucher, you can unmute yourself if it's possible. Is it, would you like to know where to put the rate code as you're issuing a new voucher or as you're loading the voucher range?
A new voucher.
A new voucher.
Just in which section?
Perfect, I will show you now. Do you see that there's a rate code field? I'll quickly just open up an existing one. Okay, here's the rate code field below the currency. This is where you can put in the rate code that's applicable. Okay, perfect. Is there any other questions? Okay. Car hire is straightforward. I think hotel vouchers is also similar. It's quite straightforward. It's when it gets to invoicing, I think a lot of things do get a bit complicated. And I'm sure you would have noticed that on your voucher register, there's certain vouchers, if you're ever wondering why certain vouchers have a closed status and some have a hold status. Okay. Any voucher that has a closed status, that is an indication that this voucher has already been invoiced. Okay, so I hope in your agency you're not sitting with a long list of vouchers with the whole status, because that means those vouchers have not been invoiced. Okay, we are going to be doing the invoicing training next week. I think it's on the 25th. I stand to be correct. No. I think so, but I'll double check. But we are going to be doing the invoicing training where we'll address that the checks that have to be done, especially with your car hire module or your service voucher module, is that a lot of people they forget to invoice out. They forget to invoice out. So if that is the case, you guys are going to have to go back and just make sure that the vouchers have been invoiced. Just a quick one. Some agencies don't invoice out car hire ranges. Okay. Is it because you're allowed to, please, you can unmute yourself, Melintha. Is it because it is a corporate range that because there's no money or it's a direct agreement with the car rental company that they don't invoice? And are you not charging your service fees even if you've done the work of booking the car for the client? Okay. I'll wait for Melintha to reply, or anyone. Okay. Anyone is able to jump in, because she's just mentioned on the chat that some agencies are not required to invoice out car hire ranges. But what I'm asking is, even if you are not required to invoice out car hire ranges, are you not charging a service fee for booking that car hire? And I'll come back to your question, Robin. I've seen it. If somebody is able to respond. Okay, she mentioned that they work on management fees. So if that's the case, that is fine, Melintha, because at the end of the day, you do get the supporting document from the car rental company. So at the end of the day, fine, you're not invoicing it out, but to show that the transaction has taken place, you still need to close that voucher to show that the rental has ended. So if you are getting a supporting document and you are still raising an invoice, whether it's a management fee invoice, whatever the case may be, you can still attach or close that voucher so that it doesn't sit as an open voucher in your register. So instead of retrieving, you've got the option of just opening the voucher and populating what the invoice number is from the supplier and what the quick trap invoice is that you guys have raised. You don't have to manually do a voucher or retrieve this voucher, but so that you know that there's nothing that's been left not attended to, it is advisable that at least close the vouchers. So you'll see that as you put in the invoice number, the status won't close. But when you run your month end, that's when the status will change to closed, which is an acknowledgement from your side that yes, we don't have to raise a voucher, but that voucher, we've done whatever needs to have been done with that voucher, it's done and it's sorted. Okay. Coming back to Robin's question, I hope that answers your question, Melinda. Coming back to, okay, perfect. Coming back to Robin's question, when you copy and paste, okay, so it's very important that you come to an active voucher. That is very correct. So you have to select a voucher that's active so that you are able to copy and paste. Okay, so even if you were to work on a closed voucher, subject that you're going into a voucher range, I think the main idea, if I may reiterate that, is that you copy and paste because you're trying to minimize capturing that top part of the information, which is who the supplier is, what voucher range, and what type of a voucher you're working from. So that minimizes that from a capturing point, and you're able to populate the rest of the information. Okay, perfect. Right. If there's any more questions, you guys are more than welcome to just unmute yourself and ask the questions. But I don't know if you guys are aware that you are also able to run a report in your car hire module to see how many vouchers are still sitting with the hold status. Quick report that you guys can do is by right-clicking, display only, everything that's sitting as a hold, or you can click on inquiries and you can actually do a voucher query. Okay. So a voucher query allows you to go in, it's more detailed, if I may put it that way, but it allows you to still check what vouchers are sitting as a hold, what vouchers have been closed. And if there's also a query with a specific voucher range, you are able to go through this report and actually run a report. You can run a report in all these fields that are on your voucher register. That's another functionality that we have. I don't think a lot of people do make use of it in the car hire module, but it is another functionality that we have in the voucher module. We will be doing reports training sometime next week. And if you guys are interested, but vouchers is very straightforward. It's very easy to do. It doesn't have a lot of details, because at the end of the day, what you will be checking in your voucher module is, I need to see what my open vouchers are. That's what a lot of people actually do. I need to see my open vouchers so that I'm able to actually invoice them out. Okay. And also, if you need to check your issue date or make sure that any vouchers, you don't have any vouchers that are still open for a certain period, you are able to do that as well. If you want to check any direct settlement vouchers, you are able to do a report on that as well. So it is a bit detailed, not a lot of details, but it does give you the information that you need based on the vouchers. Okay. Okay, Daniel, thanks for your question. He's just asked whether when you do a front desk code, does the information pull onto vouchers? Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't. Okay, especially from a quotation perspective, you will have to do it manually. So even if you are, I know, Daniel, I'm so sorry. I think if we were to be honest, we haven't done much work with the front desk module, and that is something that we hope that it will change in future, because we've kind of let that module slip through. But it is something that we are looking at doing and improving, because we do have some clients that are still using front desk, and they do enjoy using front desk. So although this document producer, which we also recommend to clients, some clients still prefer to use front desk. So it is something that we will look into, and we will appreciate your feedback. I think we'll be doing a survey just to get feedback on what do you guys feel that we could do with front desk, and just get more information as to how we can help with front desk especially. Okay, Melinda has just asked, is the report done from a month-to-month basis? Yes, you can do it for a specific, you can decide on the period, Melinda. So the system doesn't restrict you on the period. You can decide on the period which you would like to do the report on. It can be on a month-to-month basis. It can be for 6 months. It is up to you. You can decide on that period and filter it accordingly. I hope that answers your question. Okay. If there's any more questions, we're happy to take more questions, but that's literally it. We can show you month end. We will be doing month end checks as well in the. Oh, thank you so thank you so much, Rina. It's good to hear that some people still enjoy using front desk. I think it frustrates some and some do enjoy it. So we will be doing month end. I'm not going to show you guys how to do month end in this application today, but we will be doing a full month end checklist on all the quick trip applications. So it will help you from also understanding from an accounting perspective what checks that need to be done prior to you guys running your month end. So we will be doing quite a detailed one in the coming weeks. And if you're not receiving emails, please let us know if you're not on the mass mail. And if you would like, we will appreciate it if you do share the word and let everybody know that isn't a way that we are offering free training. We'll really appreciate that. But that's actually that's me for today. I think that's the end of our session. But thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you joining the sessions. And if there's anything that you feel that we could add to the training sessions, we'll also appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much, everyone. Judy, just before you go, yes, we are trying to edit these sessions so that we add them on YouTube. As soon as they're available, we will definitely let you guys know and send out the email to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Judy.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.